the StubHub credit. And depending on who you are and what you like to do, this is probably one of the worst credits that you ever seen on a credit card, or it can be your most beloved credit that you just love to have on the Chase Sapphire Reserve. However, no matter which camp you fall in this video, I'm intending to make it a little bit easier and maybe even a little bit more profitable to use the StubHub credit. So first, how do you even use the credit the normal way, the way that Chase intended you to use this credit? And this applies to everyone, no matter who you are. If you have a Chase Sapphire Reserve, make sure that you actually activate the StubHub credit. It is a credit that you have to physically activate in the benefits portal. And after you do that, you can go to the regular StubHub website, so stubhub.com, or you can use the app and it should code exactly the same to trigger that StubHub credit. For the booking, I did book it in June 30th, and the concert was sometime in October. And when going to this concert, everything was still pretty new to me. There was a lot of people, there was a lot of cars. I did go in with an open mind, and hopefully experiencing this will change my perception on how I feel about concerts and venues. It's a $150 credit, and ultimately for 2 tickets we were only out $210. So about 60 bucks. I definitely think it was worth it. Of course, I feel like if you were more dedicated, not dedicated, if you knew what you were watching, what you were doing, because for this event, I didn't really know what was going on, but I think it was pretty exciting. It's almost like the credit card community. I feel like if you're not in this space, it's definitely not exciting, but if you're in the space, it's definitely way more exciting. Just being all together and sharing in something, I definitely think that can be a bonus. It can be really fun and make the whole event fun. It's kind of like watching your favorite YouTube reaction channel, right? But maybe you like cash, and I definitely don't blame you. And we'll go see my expert, Anthony Venture, and maybe he can turn $150 into $10,000. All right, be real with us. Do you think we can turn this $150 Chase credit into $10,000?
Well, let's just say, if you were able to use this StubHub credit and use your 150 and somehow leverage yourself into some Taylor Swift Eras Tour tickets, and it's like the best seating and it's like last minute, yes, I think it could be possible to leverage to $10,000. I did it. I was close one day. I actually leveraged like $200 tickets to like $800, but nothing quite close to 10,000. Actually, no, it was more than that now that I think about it. Actually, it was about $1,300 actually.
I'm telling you guys, I think I found the right guy.
So yes, that did happen. What's your question?
The question is, how can we all do it? Especially for a lot of us, someone like me, I never really used StubHub, never really used Ticketmaster, but it was a pretty big, how would you say, just thought process that, hey, now that the Chase card is offering this $150 credit, for us that don't really like to use it, or maybe we want to even make more money like how you've been doing it, how will we even go about doing that?
I think the main thing is knowing what the actual concert is, how in high demand is it, how big of a show it is, and then also how expensive it is. Like, there is a big difference between a $100 a ticket show and a $200 ticket show. 200 is when you start getting into maybe the higher end stars, however you would call them. And so if you could find one around that range, I think it's important. And so, but there's a couple things to know if you are going to resell these tickets on StubHub. One, of course, is this a show that someone's going to be able to resell? Are you also factoring in that you might have to take a small hit on it? Now, obviously, anything technically is profit for you, because if you got to show those 150, you got that $150 credit back. And so if you resell for even $10, okay, that's a come up. That's paying off that $795 annual fee. But one thing you have to know as well for strategy is on StubHub, when you go to sell your tickets, you do not get paid immediately. It'll be held in the StubHub account if someone buys your tickets, and you only get those funds released to you 1 week after the show is over. And so if there is a show that you just bought 12 months out, just assume you're never going to see that money again until 12 months out. When that concert actually finishes, they end up using the tickets, and then a week later, the funds will get released to you.
Would you recommend buying within your city? Like maybe you live in a small city, like maybe Knoxville, maybe like Greenville. What if you instead bought something in like New York, and for sure you're probably not going to be able to make that concert, but would you be able to get a better resale value if you bought it out there?
That is a very good idea. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I guess based on population density, like you have more likelihood that someone would end up buying your tickets. Like, yeah, 100%. There's been a lot of shows that we've done in in New York, and yeah, definitely is like a lot more people to pull from. So yeah, I think that's actually a really good idea.
Would you recommend like using an AI to maybe figure out what's going on, what's going to be selling hot?
I don't know how good chat would be. I wonder if I did ask ChatGPT, like, okay, I can go on StubHub right now and I could see whatever comedy shows, concerts, whatever's going on, and just be like, okay, who is, I don't know, can you do a test on how often tickets are selling and reselling on here, instead of just you like every morning checking, like, oh, is this being sold? Is it not being sold?
Coming from you, like what exactly are you looking for when you're looking at a hot ticket? Like, is there like maybe like a little fire emoji when you're looking for these tickets?
I probably go on StubHub, and at least for me, I'm in Greenville, South Carolina, so I would check out all of the hottest things, like they say trending events. Okay, number one, number two, number three. This literally will show you, like, I guess, what they deem is selling very quickly. And so you can kind of capitalize on that. Yeah, so like this one, but I believe this one doesn't have assigned seating, but it's easy to show if you go on Yo-Yo Ma, which I'm actually not really sure what it is. It's at the Peace Center downtown here, so maybe 2 tickets, and we could see Founder Circle, Balcony, Orchestra, the Pit. So maybe we wanted to go Balcony, which is actually pretty good seatings for this venue, which we've been here a couple of times. Maybe we want to pick the Balcony here, and we could see, we have to just find like how many of these tickets actually exist. Now here, it's not that many. It's not a big venue. When you have giant concerts, it'll show you like 500 seats, 1,000 seats, and then you could choose little ones here and there, and you kind of can see, where people are kind of reselling and what prices they're at. It'll sort by cheapest and whatnot. And one thing that I did when I resold is, I just saw what everyone else kind of sold for, and I tried to be right in between or just like a bit less. So like if I saw all of these here and they were selling for 170, okay, cool, I'd probably drop mine to like 125, 135, something like that. Because for me, it's mostly profit. If I bought these tickets for 150, you have to do the math on it, of course, but I'd probably drop it to 130, and then I'd likely get something sold, fairly quickly, depending on, when the concert actually is and, how popular it is. Like a Clemson game, it's always popular here in Greenville, so it just depends on your locale as well. Sasquatch, I doubt people are going to be buying that. I mean, that sounds crazy. Nate Bargatze, one of the highest grossing comedians in the world. It's at the Bon Secours Wellness Center. Yeah, absolutely. You're going to see a huge stadium here. Not huge, but a decent one. And you're going to be able to see what people are selling for. I mean, obviously, like, you don't, and also when buying tickets, here's a big part. You obviously want to buy like tickets that people would want. So like the tickets all back here, they're, all very, very cheap, $60, $70, $100, because they're behind the stage. They'll be looking at the back of his head when he's telling jokes. No, you want to be here in the front area. So, a lot of these things are going to change. Some of these things are much higher up, like these $68 here. Like I'm surprised this one up here is not more expensive, but I guess it depends on each stage. Like some stages face different directions, some of them don't. So kind of have to just do your little due diligence there to see what are the best tickets for this particular venue, and then see what you can kind of sell it for. So yeah, I would say price of it, of course, how likely it is to sell, how big of a catch somebody is. Like Nate Bargatze is huge. I know I probably could resell these very, very easily, I think, just like a few days out. And then having tickets that are favorable, ones with a clear view and facing the stage, and then maybe just go a little bit cheaper than your competition. Yeah, I think that would make winning thing. So it only takes a few minutes. I mean, we're just looking at it real quick now and just scrolling through your area. And I guess worst case is you could always just stand outside and, outside of the venue and be like, hey, you want to buy my tickets? I got it with a credit.
Got a little trench coat on going.
Yeah, I got some CSR credits here.
So here's another big concern with reselling on StubHub. Well, some people are like notating, saying that when you try to sell on StubHub, a lot of times the processing fees make it not worth selling. Do you have any opinion on that?
Yeah, that's a good point. I remember when I sold those Taylor Swift tickets, and forgive me, I do not know exact numbers because it was years ago now, but I'm trying to remember. But if I had to guesstimate, I think the tickets originally actually did sell for about $3,300, and I only netted like $3,000 or maybe $3,100. So it was like $200 in fees just to sell them. Now that's on $3,000, not $150. So you'd imagine, it's probably maybe closer to 10% fees. So yeah, I mean, if you sold $150 ticket for 150, they'll take probably $15 out of that. So dropping your profit margin. So it is something to consider if you're going to be dropping considerably. That's why I don't really recommend, unless you know it's like a really good show and you can maybe upcharge a little bit on it, or it's going to be sold easily. I probably wouldn't buy tickets over the $150 threshold, or at least, maybe $10 over, something like that.
That all sounds good. I knew I found the right man for the job. If you guys want to check out Anthony Venture, he's definitely, pretty cool stuff. Definitely check out his channel. But yeah, thanks for going through that with us, and hopefully we can make some of our money back.
New scalping tutorials coming soon. All right.
So another strategy that you can do with the StubHub credit is this credit is a biannual credit. You get one of the $150 credit in the beginning of January into June, and then it expires in June, doesn't roll over, and then you get the second credit that starts on July 1st and then ends on December 31st. So you can't really use them at the same time. Or can you? Maybe you use the credit in March for a venue that's happening in October. You should get the credit in March and it should activate in March. Then when July runs around, July 1st, you can book that same venue that's happening in October on July, where you're trying to use your second credit, so maybe for a second ticket. Therefore, you're using both of your biannual credits at the same venue, so technically you're stacking 2 credits. But here's the issue with that. Seats can sell. However, here's the solution to that. Instead of booking so early in the year in March, why not book something that's closer to maybe June 25th? Give yourself a little bit of time to make sure that the credit processes. But why you would want to book so much on the edge of June is because since that credit rolls over in July 1st, you can book something in June, July 1st, and hopefully that seat that you're trying to get 2 seats next to wouldn't sell out. However, this tip is also for you all that are planning on reselling your ticket anyways, and here's my buddy Anthony explaining more about it.
On average, I've seen that selling 2 tickets, I think sometimes is a little bit more favorable and being able to generate a little more money, because usually it's a person and their spouse. And so you're not being as stingy when it's like you and your spouse. So I think I would recommend 2 tickets.
But maybe here's another tip on reducing the ticket price so you can take full advantage of that $150 credit. So you haven't checked already, there are these shopping portals that will give you, they're basically just like kind of coupon books. And there's been a lot of reports, especially with Capital One, trying to get more into the entertainment business. There was one offer that someone had where if they spent $350, they would get $200 back on their StubHub booking. So, if you're doing the math here, $150 credit, and then you book a $300 and $50 ticket, and you get $200 back, you're basically getting a $350 ticket with that same $150 credit. So it's just something to double check. Check your Capital One shopping offers, check your Rakuten offers. And here's a small slight tip. If you read in the terms and conditions of the StubHub credit, you don't actually have to use it only on StubHub. They may be somewhat connected to each other, however, there are some benefits. And the other portal that you can use this StubHub credit on is something called Viagogo. And the benefit of having the second option to use your StubHub credit on is people have actually found their same ticket to be slightly cheaper on Viagogo. So it might be worth a second look and double check before booking on StubHub. And this last tip to maximize the StubHub credit is actually I found it from a Reddit user. Basically what they did was pay for the ticket using PayPal, linking their Chase Sapphire Reserve into that PayPal, but also splitting that purchase among a second Chase Sapphire Reserve. So you can use both credits on a single same purchase. The reason why that Reddit user did it in the first place, not because they had so many CSRs that they had to use. The reasoning is because they had a friend that wasn't going to use their StubHub credit. However, if you don't have a second friend that has a second CSR that they're probably not going to use the StubHub credit on, another benefit of using this method is the Chase Sapphire Reserve isn't exactly the best credit card when it comes to entertainment. Another good credit card to use for entertainment is just the Capital One Saver card, giving you 3% back on entertainment purchases, so the PayPal method can come in pretty clutch. But that's basically all the tips that I have for the StubHub credit. One thing to keep in note though is I did read the terms and conditions. The StubHub credit doesn't seem like it's going to be able to be triggered for an international purchase, especially if the website codes as like a British website. But otherwise, I hope I made the StubHub credit a little bit easier for you to use, and I'll see you later.